Welcome to TWOFOLD Podcast. We are back.
Oh, baby. Spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen these films, don't listen to this. Or do. Hey.
I am a llama.
Ain't
That's
your mama.
great, Phil. What's up with me? My name is Jake Dragish. With me is Phil Dragish, my brother.
Yes, that's me in the house.
And my cousin, Tim.
It breaks your llama's ass. What?
Winamp.
It really kicks. Is it like that?
Yeah, it really
kicks
whips the llama's ass.
It whips the llama's ass.
Whips, I think.
I said whips.
That's
Lips?
right. I thought it was kicks. Wrong.
Kiss?
Anyway, we are three dudes. Great start. Three dudes on a podcast,
Yeah.
specifically called TWOFOLD.
TWOFOLD.
And here we are. How's it going, guys? What's up? What's up?
Well, I'm very pleased to be back on TWOFOLD after not being there for a fortnight. Haha.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there we go. We found out what the word is.
Yeah, Tim just found this out just now. And
Yeah, we
explained
kept
it to
saying
us.
like, see you in 2 weeks, see you in next week. And we could have all
Yeah.
this time just be saying, see you in a fortnight.
Would have been great, but
And get
too
those kids, get those kids listening in with those tags.
Yeah.
Do it.
late. So how you guys doing? How you doing, Tim?
I'm good. I wasn't at the Star Wars Fortnite special, so I didn't miss it.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Unfortunately.
Right, our
Well,
nephew,
my old
slash
nephew.
cousin.
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
nephew.
And a nephew. He's bummed out. He was waiting for the special event. I don't know what that is because I'm an old
neither,
man. So
Yeah.
maybe some youngsters.
Because I was confused. His name is Benny, and I was confused. I thought he was talking about seeing the film, like the premiere
Right,
of Star
right.
Wars, but then I was like a little bit lost.
Which Star Wars?
The new one.
Oh. Rise of Sky Guy?
What's it called?
The Rise of Sky Guy.
It's called Skylord
Skylord.
Skylord.
or Lucatron is the working title.
Wait, is
Star
it
Wars
another
Lucatron.
Rise? Was there another Rise before?
It's
was
the
there a
rise
Star
and
Wars
fall.
Rise?
No.
So there's always someone rising, someone falling.
What was the last
There
one
should be
called?
something in between, like
What was the last one called? The Last Jedi, right?
Yeah.
The Last Jedi, yeah.
And Force Awakens. Oh yeah, I remember
So
you
The
did
Force
shirt.
Awakens, The Last Jedi, and now The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
Yes.
And then
Cool,
presumably
cool.
episode 10 will be the fall.
The fall. The
The
fall.
fall, the rise and the fall.
Yeah,
fall of
right.
the New
Well, I
Republic.
just wanted to say that this is an interesting episode because for the first time, I think we don't hear a can opening.
Well, first of all,
Oh,
cue
yeah.
intro.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, no can, no.
Music
I'm
to my
I'm
ears.
drinking water. Drinking water. It's times change.
Today,
Yeah.
just plain old water.
Plain old water
No
for me as
H2O.
well.
Nice.
I did have a beer earlier. The nice folks, so that I go take pictures at their quiz. They bought me a beer, so
Great. How many beers did you have, Tim?
just one.
Good. You're working. Makes sense. That would be bad.
Yes.
You got
No,
like
no,
2-3.
no. And that was towards the end. It was like Christmas.
a picture.
Put it on Instagram. Yes, I'm assuming Tim, you
pretty.
take
Can I take
photos
a
at this quiz. Many like you've been taking for quite a while at this group gathering of quizzes. Yeah, it's very nice. Very cool.
So I'm glad you guys are good. I'm doing pretty good as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
What did you
let's
pick?
get this show on the road. That's exactly what I want.
On the road, eh? Is that what you're saying?
Today we have. Yeah.
No,
go ahead.
sorry. No, I have a little preface, a little warning beforehand. I may be a bit of a fill this episode. One, I've been feeling a little under weather. I've been a little bit sick this week, so I have a sore throat. So the more I talk, the more I cough. So I'll try to keep it on a down low. And secondly, your choices are involved. No, are
Unconstitutional.
no. They involve
Foolish.
cars.
Yeah.
I don't like cars.
Hey, me either.
Well, this is a great.
And
This is
then
great,
not only
guys.
do I not like cars, I don't particularly like kart racing. So it's going to be interesting.
I mean, me either, man.
Well, we're gonna get all that in this sweet episode of
Yeah.
TWOFOLD Podcast
Hey,
with your host, Jake.
let's do it.
Jake,
I have a
all waiting for
car.
me to host.
I have a car, but it's only like
Well,
for
guys,
use.
we'll get to that.
But
Okay.
I'm
cars,
gonna be
Dad.
Phil here and say let's get to the film, and then I have
cars are
questions for
loud.
you.
They're dangerous, and they're not good for the environment.
Very
Okay,
fast,
I knew you were
very
gonna say that.
dangerous.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. But listen, let's first say what we got. So, 2 films today on the show. Film number 1 is Ford v Ferrari, or Ford versus Ferrari, also known as Le Mans 66 in Europe.
Much better title
or other
in Europe.
or other
I have to
territories,
say.
it says in Yeah, this is interesting. So Le Mans 66, I also think is a better title.
Yeah.
But
Before watching the film, we thought it was confusing.
really?
At least I thought it was. I thought Ford v Ferrari was better because it was more to the point and I understood what it was about. But
No,
if
it's
you just
more
say Le
redneck.
Mans-
It's like Ford versus Ferrari. Oh, the goddamn Italians.
Listen, I think there's two ways to look at it. One way is what Phil was saying, which I agree. It's like Ford versus Ferrari is very to the point. It's like, the war of these, companies,
You want a war?
It's very straight to the point. The Le Mans 66 is a cool title. I prefer it, but it's also very vague in the sense of like, maybe no one knows about Le Mans. Who knows? I didn't know about Le Mans.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah, but no, you're not going to
Honestly,
go see
the
a movie
title
just
Ford
on the
v
title.
Yeah, but the title Ford v Ferrari made me want to see it because I knew what the topic was going to be. I saw the trailer for sure, but then I remembered the movie because it's a Ford v Ferrari.
Oh, for sure. I see.
But after seeing it, now that I know it, but now that I know
This title
but now
insulted
what I
you?
know what Le Mans meant, I like that title better. So hey, there we go. All right, let's go racing.
So, guys, let me tell you a little bit about Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah, please
or
do.
Le Mans 66. So, this is a movie that takes place in the 1960s.
Hence the 66.
When Ford began a project to tackle the Ferrari dynasty that dominated the racing world at this time.
I love the angle.
Winning the Le Mans 24-hour race year after year after year with their premium sports cars that they custom built. And it follows the two characters. One is Shelby, Carroll Shelby to be specific, who is a winner of Le Mans.
He's a winner.
He won Le Mans.
Shelby is a Le Mans.
He became famous for winning the Le Mans race.
What car was he
Le
driving?
Mans?
What car he was driving?
I think Aston Martin. I think, but I'm not sure.
Are you sure? I thought it was a GM. Oh, never mind. Go on.
Could be. Someone has to fact check me on that. And he won, and he's this designer of cars, this entrepreneur. He has this company called Shelby American.
He's got a hat.
And then
He's got a hat. And he's got a southern drawl.
And then Ford is like, oh, we love building cars. We're just making cars. We're the best ever. Just manufacture, make.
But they were stagnating.
I think so. Yes, Phil. I think they were stagnating. And then the marketing team at Ford is like, we've been playing this wrong. We need to get into the race. We need to beat Ferrari.
Well, it was Punisher from the market.
Yeah, the Punisher.
Was that who was the actor?
From the Netflix Punisher, yeah.
And he's like, we gotta like take this angle of making sports cars and beat these guys, these Ferrari guys. And then Ford's like,
they tried to sign a deal with
they try to
Ferrari.
sign a Ferrari and the Ford king.
Because they
King
tried
of Ford.
they tried to sign a deal because Ferrari was looming bankruptcy. They didn't have any money, so they tried to use it and get them signed.
That failed, and Fiat bought Ferrari.
Well, they used Ford because they just wanted to get a higher price from Fiat, the local brand. Fiat Punto, the classic.
They're like, we'll build more puntos.
We built Ferrari Punto.
And so basically the CEO of Ford is like skeptical about this whole thing, but he's like, fine, we'll try to get this going. And so
Try to get what going?
Try to get Ford to build a race car to compete.
So they can, for their
Get out
marketing,
there to bolster their image and say, look at us.
Yeah.
And so they go to this Carroll Shelby guy, right, who won Le Mans earlier.
That's right. Played by Matt Damon.
He has this great company, and they come up to him and they're like, listen, man, what would it take to get you drive a Ford and beat Ferrari at Le Mans? And he's like, this is the greatest synopsis ever. And he's like, he's like, you know what? Money can't buy that kind of a win, but I can get you the car. I mean, the guy who can drive the car, who can maybe win. And they're like, And then they go to this other guy, whose name is Ken Miles, British chap, played by Christian Bale, who lives in Los Angeles,
Like this.
interestingly enough. He runs a car mechanic shop, but he's also a race car driver.
That's right.
He's the stuff, he's the stuff. But he's living this humble life and troubled. He's troubled by the RAS. They're coming in and, he's trying to make ends meet as his family.
He's taking his shop. He's got a kid.
He's taking his shop, and he's a nice guy, but he's, hot-headed. He knows what he wants, and he's just, he's not going to, take any shit. And then Carroll Shelby goes to him. He's like, hey, man,
You want me to trash your lights?
And then basically he vouches for Ken Miles. Ken Miles gets in the racing seat, races, and they develop this supercar. I think it's called the GT40, I believe.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And the thing about this car, right, is that it's kind of wonky. It's, rough around the edges, but it's
It's got strange doors, like they go all the way in on the top.
Yeah.
Basically,
But what's the challenge?
The challenge is how to beat these custom Ferraris that have been dominating the race.
But what's
These
what's the
Ferraris
problem? There's a problem in here.
The problem is that they have this, this battle with the corporate Ford, trying to, what do you want to say, Phil?
Because it's bad for their image, and they don't want
they don't like English chaps.
Christian Bale.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
they don't like Christian Bale. They want a Ford guy in a Ford car.
Exactly.
And so it's the struggle, But what I found interesting. Well, let me finish the synopsis. So then, what happens is Ken Miles.
Where you were.
Ken Miles, he's racing at this race, and he
Go on.
he breaks all records.
That's right. At the end,
Breaks
of the
all
movie.
records, and they win.
Well,
But he loses.
He couldn't win because Ford wanted all three Fords to finish at the same time.
Yeah, we'll
He
get to
had
that.
a start point. He doesn't win, and then he dies.
But yeah,
Wow.
so bad,
And that's
so bad.
based on a true story.
Rewind. Yeah, let's rewind. I did not expect this ending, and it wasn't funny when I watched it. And I did not expect this ending because I didn't read anything about the story on Wikipedia.
Yeah. I knew
And
that
I
too.
really thought there was going to be like a more of a, heartfelt tale where it's like good times, after. And then he died. And I was very surprised, honestly, with you. I was like, oh man, no.
Yeah.
Well, if we could look at the story from behind, I thinking about the movie afterwards, like, was it necessary to put that in the end? Like, it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
The focus felt like it was more about the event, more less than the.
Like they could have done
people.
the classic based on a true story when they show the pictures of the real people and it says
Oh, like-
he
when Ken
died a
Miles
year
died
later.
from
Yeah,
testing.
yeah.
Because by the way, interesting fact, I did some research. He didn't die like that.
What?
In the film. No. He died
Pancreatic
later.
cancer.
Maybe like you're right, Tim. Sometime later, months, maybe even years. I can't remember, but it was sometime later after Le Mans.
Okay.
Testing one of the new Ford cars.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that was portrayed in the film where he took
Like
the
right
car for a
after.
spin. No,
Yeah, yeah.
It was later. And interestingly enough, they talked about how the reason that happened was because there wasn't something on the car that could have prevented his death, and then a couple of years later they developed that as a mandatory feature,
Mm-hmm.
and the person was saved by that thing, which makes it even sadder because he would have survived
Yeah.
had they installed that
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
on the car. So interesting things.
Mhm.
Facts.
Interesting.
So that's the plot, basically described by
Okay.
me very well.
Very good. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. And there's one thing to note as well is before the main race, he had to also race at Daytona, which is also a 24-hour race, but in
Right.
America, not France. Interesting. And
I
he beat that.
wasn't aware of such crazy races,
Me
24-hour races.
Me either.
Like that seems
To me,
ridiculous.
it's wild. Like, because when I was thinking about it in the movie earlier, I was like, 24 hours, so that means they drive for 24 hours?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought not like in a circle. I thought they drive like
Yeah,
long
like
routes,
Me
like
too.
across the
Me
country.
too.
Exactly, across country. Like across country is interesting, especially like you have like two drivers and you switch and you're like it's a road trip
Yeah.
and it's like a wacky race in circles,
Racers.
just
Yeah.
like laps. It's like these is like, ugh.
Insane.
There's nothing like appealing to me at all. It's like, oh, this corner I gotta go the outer apex and
The
break here, and it's like I gotta do this about 7 million
Yeah.
times.
I don't understand that, but
Can you
hey.
imagine that though? Like by the way, there's interesting things about that is that if you notice in the film that the racers actually do rest right between the races. Remember Christian Bale, Ken Miles was sleeping.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah. They have
I'm
like
reading
little
about it.
changes, right?
Yeah, the changes, which I took me a while to figure out in the film. I don't know
Yeah,
about
me
you
too,
guys.
because I'm not at all familiar with how these things are done.
Speaking of, oh sorry,
And I just want to say that I read about it. Interesting that obviously the rules for the races in general, I'm sure, change over the years, and they probably change over time.
Yeah.
The traditions and the customs and the rules. And one of the rules is now that you can't have. There has to be like a minimum rest period of half an hour for the racers. So it can't just be like, oh, take a 5-minute break.
Just a smoke break.
I'm back. Take a 5-minute power nap.
3 cigarettes. I would say. No, it's just like it has to be minimum 30. And there's like a lot of rules involved in this stuff. So to make sure that the drivers are not like putting themselves in danger. Yeah. Because if you think about it, racing is super dangerous.
It's super dangerous for yourself, and you're putting a lot of people in danger. And not even the drivers, just like the watchers. And I think that's like the theme that combines, that is, prevalent in both of these movies that kind of spoke to me. It's like races are dangerous now, but back in the day, it's just ridiculous. There was just a shot of like these cars just like going, crazy speeds down the road, and there's a photographer on the grass there just taking pictures.
Yeah, imagine if he got hit.
Dude, if he just run like dead. Whoa, what's wrong with people? I do not understand any of these drivers. Their whole reasoning about like living on the edge and just feeling that motor between their legs.
I want to say this is something that I also wondered about as well, and it got me thinking about sort of the mindset of racing. And when you think about it, like on one hand, racing and like cars are really cool, right? Because it's like
because they're fast
and switching gears and just power.
Engine.
But at the same time, you think about it, like, my goodness, like that's, you could die just from racing, and it's a vocation for these people who race. It reminds me of like, how some people are involved in dangerous, or I suppose illegal now, but like bullfighting, not bullfighting, the red flag and the bull.
Yeah, bullfighting.
Yeah, bullfighting.
Yeah, bullfighting, yeah.
Something like
Very
that.
Very bad for the bull because he always dies.
Yeah, exactly. But not only that, but I'm saying like it's such a dangerous thing. It's like you could just be killed by the bull, and it's like, why?
Yeah,
you could live.
Why?
And something like that I hope future generations just forget, like just stop it. Like it's like understand the skill that is required.
Stop racing. I'm not saying that.
I am. Stop it.
Stop it.
No,
Tim says you.
But if you want to race, you can race. I mean, you're an adult. What?
Well, no, I'm like saying like no. I'm trying to give him advice.
Oh, okay.
So like I understand the skill is required for both of these, like Formula 1 driving or driving super fast cars. I get it, and I get why they're obsessed with it. I don't get the whole car boys and cars thing, but I get the sort of like super crazy obsession. But I'm pretty sure there's safer and better ways to do this. Maybe that's not interested in them because you're not on the edge if you're not dying. But like the whole 24-hour driving, super soup up your car, know your engine.
But here's the thing I wanted to ask you guys is like this is a sport, right? Racing is a sport.
Yeah. It's a sport. It's a sport.
I think what you're saying is that you're asking for the reasoning is similar to asking the reasoning for why do people play sports. I think it's very similar.
No, it's different.
People don't die in sports.
Okay, besides the dying.
That's what I'm saying.
If we assume that you are safe, let's just say,
okay,
it is in the same category. It's a competition. It's being the best, tweaking your
quick thinking. It's instinct. It's
getting
switch
better
to
and
bikes,
better
like bike. Like what's the French one with the long biking thing?
Tour de France?
Yeah,
Tour de France. Do that, man. Like you soup up your bike, work
Take
your
drugs.
muscles,
take
change
drugs,
your blood.
and change your blood. Yeah,
change your blood.
Perfect.
I don't care. You're just hurting yourself. I don't give a shit.
So you're saying basically that as a racer, you're not only
hurting yourself, you're endangering.
You could kill another racer.
Yeah, man. I'm just like watching all of this and just like the loud ass noises. Like anytime
we have a story real quick. Okay,
you're in town and like
fine.
Some asshole with like a super like a V8 thing just like revs that engine. I'm like, oh, it's so loud. I'm like, oh, stop it. Go away. Go away to your ancient times, you caveman.
Yeah, it's funny. We have a story here. We're in Indiana, right? In Indiana, people love the NASCAR because the Indy 5000 or whatever it's called, 1000, 2000, Indy 2000, 500. the Indy 500, happens there. So everyone loves NASCAR.
I was like, why is he keep saying India? I was like, Indiana. Okay. Yeah.
So the Indy 500 always
the Indian 500.
The Indy 500 is always it's an event there, right? So everybody loves that stuff. There's a lot of people who are very enthusiastic about.
Okay, we got to go on.
Yeah.
And we also have we had a local motorway in Anderson, Indiana. Mm-hmm. And I was
Speedway,
motorway, whatever. And there was one time where I was hearing a noise. It was like a low rumble. And I thought, oh no, there's a thunderstorm coming because it was in the summer. And I thought, because we have really big supercell storms in Indiana that can turn into tornadoes, and they're very very damaging storms occasionally. So I think in the distance, something like that's happening. I opened the window and I listen and I just hear like giant bees, giant kaiju bees battling it out. And I could hear it from a distance from my backyard. And that motorway was how far away, Jacob, you think?
I don't know. It was the other end of town, I think.
Yeah, it's the other end of town. It was so far away, but you could hear it as if it was like...
Yeah, I can't imagine how loud these races are. Yeah. Especially because no mufflers to get speed.
Exactly. No mufflers.
So guys, what'd you think? What'd you think of this motion picture?
Oh, yes.
And what are your initial impressions?
Who you asking?
Back?
Who you asking? Who you asking?
Who you talking,
We'll go
bro?
with you, Phil. You can start with you.
Me?
I don't remember who started last. Maybe I'll ask you, Tim. I think I asked you, Phil, last time I hosted.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I like this movie, the Ford versus Ferrari thing. I think it was a bit too one-sided for me. Ferrari being bad guy, Ford being good guy. I think it was a little bit too much American. Let's go kick some ass and with these speed cars. So I wasn't really getting into it. I think it was really good casting, I have to say, especially the two main leads. Matt Damon's, it's just funny to me.
Yep.
Like Matt Damon, he's actually a good actor. and I'm not being a negative way. It's just like, Matt Damon, he knows what it, but I think Christian Bale is really good for this role. And one thing Christian Bale, he's got that weird, like, twinkle behind his eye of a madman. Like if you need someone to play like someone who's obsessed with something, like Christian Bale, like he knows how to give like those facial expressions. And he's been doing this for like lots of roles. It's just like a blank face, and just in his eyes there's like calculations going. Like there's something going on. I think it was really good casting. Like like it's it's race car driver. He's British. He's working with Americans. Like it's a strange combination, but he really made that work.
No, it's true. Like I have to say, Christian Bale, I could feel like I could understand who that person was when Christian Bale was playing him, and I didn't even know it was. I was thinking, is this a real story or is this not a real story? And then when I found out, okay, yeah, it is a real story based on a real story. Yeah. And I felt like he really channeled this character, this person. And Christian's pretty good at that,
Yeah. I think what was super interesting to me was the character of Carroll Shelby. And the reason why is because you have this like two ends of the spectrum in terms of the problem. You have, the corporate, layers and layers of people who really have no sense of sort of the art of something.
Oh man,
because you can apply this to all kinds of industries and fields, not just, cars in this sense. And they don't understand that. They're just interested in the business, and they're interested in, sort of self-interest, right? From all these people, even the CEO.
They're in a money-making business.
Yeah, and they're not like, so they're so like focused on that they're not even paying attention anymore to like what makes a great car, why are you making cars, all this stuff like that. That's like totally out of the window. It's just all these other things.
Yeah, charts.
That's one end of the spectrum, and the other end of the spectrum, which is Ken Miles, who's like, he's the artist, so to speak. He's the full on in it for the actual the act of racing, the actual thing itself.
Yeah, when he's looking at the car, he feels it, he knows it.
Yeah,
he's just, that's all he's thinking of. Every time you see him, you feel like you know that he's just thinking about how to make the car better.
Yeah,
it's an obsession for him, and it's like the only thing that drives him.
Exactly. And those are the two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Well, I wouldn't say Shelby is the corporate one. He's just put in that position.
No, this is what I want to say. I'm not saying he's a corporate one. This is my illustration. I'm saying they have the Ford, and then you have, for instance, Ken Miles, right? Two opposite ends of the spectrum. Absolutely. And in the middle, you have Carroll Shelby, who he's totally on the side of Ken Miles, and that's who he is too. He's in it for the love of, he's a car designer, right? He's in for the love of this industry and what it means to him. Mm-hmm. But he's also diverged, and now he's finding himself in this place where he owns a company. He's running this stuff. He understands that in order to be successful, you have to work with these people that are
these bloodsuckers,
because they have the money.
You have to play the game, and you have to be tactical about how you approach these people. Yeah. And I found that really interesting, the dynamic, because he's always having to be in this position where he's stuck between these worlds, and he has to communicate with these guys. He has to defend his friend Ken Miles, all the while trying to, make it to this goal that he has, and has to do that very, intelligently. He has to limit himself. Like, he can't go berserk. He would love
He's
to.
always got to
you could
compromise
tell.
as well. Yeah.
He would love to, but even when push comes to shove, for instance, even when the 3-car thing happened, when the exec was like, "Bring him, slow him down,"
man,
that guy wanted to kill him. When he said that, and Carroll Shelby, right? He probably would too. And
Carroll Shelby wanted to kill him.
Yeah, but I'm saying that even in those situations, he realizes, like, man, if I have to, I'll have to compromise. You know, because this is my company on the line. This is my
but then
career.
again, he still gave.
He did. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's his sort of art, is like how to navigate all this stuff. So I found that.
But he still gave him a chance.
Yeah, he gave him a choice. He basically said, like, even if this means the end for me, I don't care. I want to see you do this. So
a good comparison to that role would be like a producer in the movie business. He's like he's not the creative man, even though he would want to be, or he understands it, but he's between the studio and then, the creative team, like a director and the writer. And he's, he has to be the one smart person to, to complete, to get the movie to be completed, but also kind of,
So and I think it takes a very
division.
I think that's a very hard skill, and it takes time, I think, to learn. And you also have to want to learn to be in that kind of position. Because
you have to really compromise. You have to be in the back. You have to be the one that has to see both ends. Because
arguably you can be the most successful if you take that approach, like Carroll Shelby. But at the same time, it's a really rough road.
Old Town Road.
Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of the corporation stuff, it's just like I was just so upset. Because I work for a corporation.
I want to hear your opinions, because I knew you're going to have thoughts about this. I would love to.
I was just so sad. It just reminded me of my daily life of just.
There was a lot of
people in positions that make decisions about things they know nothing about.
Yeah, there was a lot of parallels as well for me in my
I want to hear these juicy details. I want to learn about this.
Yeah, man. Like,
well, you work for clients directly, right? So
right.
You get a lot of that. Like, they give you comments or notes on things they know nothing about, but you're like, but they're the client. So imagine that, but there's a middleman who does that, so you're creating something for a company or for a customer, and then now there's this person comes in there in the middle, either being middle management or some kind of project management, whatever it is. It's just an arbitrary role that has responsibility for the project and you have to report to. And they don't understand creative process. They don't know nothing. They have no skill. Right. But yet they still want to make decisions. I don't know if they want to make the decisions or they just want to do it as like, I have to do this. But it's just the most bizarre conversations you have with these people.
I think also it's the most bizarre because at the end of the day, like, these people who make these decisions and who think they have, like, the right to make these decisions, they're dependent on people who have to be the people who actually who produce and who actually make the things. Yeah. In this sense, you have the racer, right? Like, their entire goal depends on the racer to do the best job he can, because he's a good and talented racer. Yeah. It depends on it, But then at any moment, they can totally just chop this guy off. Yeah. And be like, oh, well, we got here. Why? It's us. We did it. And that's the mindset of that kind of corporate, and it makes my blood boil.
And it's like, and it's not only that, but his image isn't good enough to sell our cars.
Right, or things like this. And it's like, and you realize that the whole thing, why it works, is because it's a fight between these two kinds of people. Without that, dude, like, the Ford company would be in ruins. And that's an example, but it could be in any industry.
And I can't imagine being in that position, because it must be so frustrating and so scary, because you have this responsibility, yet you know nothing about the subject, Like, let's say as you're a creative person and you're an expert in your field, right? Making decisions on things, you usually have reasoning, right? Or you have a feel, or you have experience or something like that. So you can, even though you don't sometimes know, you have a process or something like that, to get to a result. But like, I think they just have to make decisions, because otherwise they're scared, someone's going to fire them because, like, oh, he's not doing anything.
But you see the difference, though. Like, that whole thing is like internal politics, which is in a totally different category of itself. And that's what they're seeing day in and day out. That's how they approach their job. And so they're never getting in contact with the actual the substance,
the product, the thing that they're actually making.
So then this is why you get these wild ideas. Like for instance, like the CEO in this case, right?
Yeah,
he had no clue what they're building, what the car they were doing. They had no clue what driver they're putting in, why they're putting in this driver. He had no clue. And then he gets to, as an example, he gets to see what the car is like, how fast it goes.
Yeah,
I think, and that's that's what I'm saying. It's amazing how those things happen.
Yeah, I think like one thing that sort of in these environments, like when it's like a big corporation like Apple, right? It started off, it was successful, then it went into shit, because they hired Pepsi CEO, and it just went into corporate hell, and they fired Steve Jobs and everything, and in the 90s was pretty bad for Apple. And when Steve Jobs came back, and I remember one of the things he talked about is like he wants product people, and it's that's the thing, like in my sort of like job or field, it's like you do want product people. You want people who want to make great products and they feel responsible for it, and that will get like no process, no whatever structure. It's not going to work unless you have people who want to make a product. It's not going to work, and it's not the Ken guy. He's not thinking of a great product precisely, but I think it's the same approach.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to have a good car, and he wants to drive it, and he wants to drive good, and that's his entire motivation. That's it. Yeah, and those people who will get you somewhere.
What were your impressions, Phil,
of the movie?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love talking about this stuff because this stuff is very
interesting.
fascinating.
I think so too.
But as far as the movie is concerned, I enjoyed watching it. I liked it. I actually was quite nervous at the end because I think because they put that the thing with the exploding car and him surviving, and I thought, that's going to somehow, I know that something's going to happen with that.
I didn't,
and I was, so that made me on the edge of my seat when I was watching the final race. And I was like, no, I don't want him to explode. Don't explode.
Oh, you thought he was going to explode like racing, right? Like like a tragedy kind of. Okay.
So what I enjoyed about this is that I actually was into it, and I was, I liked all the politics and stuff like that. That was fun for me and interesting. And also, even though I knew nothing about the racing, and I thought, we have another race after the NASCAR one. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I was like,
well, actually, for me, the most nerve-wracking race was the Daytona one.
Yeah.
Because Carroll's company was on the line. If he lost that race, he would have lost everything.
Oh, yeah, he did. That was a bold movie, basically.
That was super bold. Like, I was thinking, man, that you have to be a really, kind of
your balls have to be made out of diamonds from Minecraft.
Dude, like, I mean, that's the mindset, though.
Because that guy's like that guy, any moment he'd be like, I don't like this, I'm going home, and you're done.
Dude, I mean, I was thinking like Ken could have, like, if he messed up a little bit on the race, he could be like, I'm done with this race. Like, I'm done.
Yeah, like that. He has no, he's nothing invested. He's just like, okay, obviously he had a good job. He didn't have money before, so he's doing for that. But he looked pretty, kind of like violent person,
unstable in that sense.
Unstable, exactly.
Yeah. What do you want to say, Phil?
Thank you, Jake.
Mm-hmm. And that withstanding, I thought that I think the best thing about this was Matt Damon and Christian Bale acting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the best aspect of the movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like, just like you said, like that thing at the end, the denouement where Christian Bale's character dies. I think that was a little bit, it wasn't that necessary because it wasn't really about them. It was about their product. Yeah. It was about their project. It was about the stakes, the Ferraris.
Yeah, I think it was sort of, in a sense, it was one of those against all odds stories in a way. Not classically, but it was, how this team of people, overcame this stuff and saw this thing through, which was very unlikely, which is a cool story in and of itself, I think.
That's what made me want to watch the movie, because I liked the trailer, because it was about a Ford making a Ferrari.
I think I read about it. It's like basically Ford, an American company, I think never again, like, won at Le Mans, for instance. Like, this was a special thing that happened at the time. After that was all these other companies. So fascinating.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. That's
what did I think? So I actually agree.
Sorry, no one asked you, Jake. I was just like, we're like, let's ready to move on.
Because you guys were like, I just wanted to say that I agree with a lot of points you guys have said. A couple of things I did like. I did like the whole America fuck yeah aspect. I think that was fun. That was cool.
You were rooting for the boys.
It's a cool story because it's like, all these, traditional people in Italy, and we make cars and stuff. And it's like, no, man. we're gonna make an American car and we're gonna win.
Yeah,
I like American. I like the Ferraris. They look so good.
Don't you feel like that spirit
because of the spirit of like we're gonna overcome this and we're gonna beat these guys who are like, oh, we're all traditional.
I don't know, because I always wanted to see the side from the Ferrari. I was like, well, because you go see their factory and then like
they're all about cars. They're tenderly creating. The cars look great. The Ford looks like a piece of crap.
Yeah, I know.
Like remember when they brought out like to Le Mans, they brought the new Ferraris and they're like,
the super clean.
Oh my
sleek.
goodness, they look so good. Like this the windshields, like the circular ones, they looked so good.
I know. I agree. I think they look beautiful. They look great. And those models of cars were really strange at that time in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
And I actually thought the Ford that they rode in the movie was, I think, kind of a quasi like futuristic, like more modern to what we know cars to look like, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these 60s cars were like, Batmobiles.
Which Batmobile? The one,
like the 60s, But you know what I'm talking about. There are a couple of Batmobiles that look like that, like submarines.
Oh, Adam West,
Adam West had Batmobile look like that.
Yeah, Adam West, right?
Yeah. I like cars of the 50s.
I'm not saying,
they were really
bad.
cool
I'm just saying
design.
it's so different. I'm saying it's so different to what we know today, which, I find interesting.
Unless you're talking about the Cybertruck, which looks amazing.
Well, the Cybertruck is great.
What's the Cybertruck?
Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
The Cybertruck is great. And I'm actually
finally
happy
a new design. I'm just so bored of calling
what makes me so happy
here's
about
my
this-
take on the Cybertruck. I love making fun of it because it is like, to me, it just does look kind of crazy out there. But I admire that it is like this.
But I love it because you can tell that the design team, they had
they
very
loved the
specific
N64.
intentions. No, they had very specific intentions, and they tackled this as a design project of pure design.
Of pure 64-bit energy.
This is no compromise. This is pure design. And I think, and what's great about it is because it's so bold, my favorite part is that everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
And my favorite now, as I'm older, I used to get angry about this. Like, remember when the iPad came out?
When you were a kid,
You're like, oh, it's so funny. They should call it iTampon. No.
Oh, really? Tell me
always
more
were,
about this.
yeah, like when we were...
okay. When I was younger...
You always were grumpy about the new things.
I was grumpy about new things all the time. Like, new Facebook comes out. Oh, crap.
Oh, yeah,
on
remember
it.
we always complained when new Facebook showed up.
Yeah.
I complained when YouTube changed their stars to likes up and down.
I don't know. The angle for me was just like, personally, I'm going to go now critique and say, this is why, this is bad. What's the point of this?
That's like something I would like associate with like an old man. Why? I
don't know, Tim.
Like, who influenced you to be like this? Like, who do you think?
I don't know. Because our parents, but it can't be our parents because our parents don't know anything about software
new things
or design.
Never, like super critical about stuff like that. I guess
no, but I understand you. You're a teenager. You're kind of locked in what you were as a childhood, and then like, oh, what is this? Like, it took me a while. It took until I was like 25 to get used to new things.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So I understand it completely.
25 was a bit.
And now what do?
Later.
You embrace new things.
No, I wanted to say that
I love new things.
Like a hippie.
I want to say what's the most fun for me is that when you have new things that come out, you can not objectively, but purely subjectively, but in a context, kind of understand what you might like or not like about it. And you also realize that you don't have to have an opinion on it. You realize hey, this thing came out, doesn't really, regard me. I'm not telling you my, area of interest, expertise. I'm not going to comment on it. Yeah. But my favorite part is now when new things come out that, let's say, I do like or am interested in, like a new product, or in this case, the Cybertruck design. It's so fun to see people just get angry, and suddenly everyone is a designer, and suddenly everyone has is ready for critiquing something. It's like, where were you 2 days ago talking about pickup trucks? You were nowhere. That's my favorite part.
You weren't even in the same
because
region.
It just tells me that the design succeeded because everyone's talking about it either positively, negatively. That's awesome.
I'm just here for the jokes.
I don't know. Like first I saw it, I was like,
and like I was
in love immediately.
I understand. I remember Tim. I remember you're like, this is hot stuff. I love it.
This is it. It's just like I just saw it and I was like, because you look at concept art for cars, and it'll always look so cool, and then it comes out and it's like, what is this? It's like a 3-year-old drew this at the end. But and this is a concept car, and it. Hopefully, 80% it's going to look like it looks now. They're probably going to change some stuff, but obviously that's one thing. But like, I remember I went to the subreddit of design, r/design,
I've never been
and
there.
somebody posted the car, And it was like everyone's like so negative, like, oh, this looks like crap. Like, what is this low polygon? This is so bad. What happened to beautiful designs of cars?
People
and I'm like,
miss the context, like the whole low polygon argument. It's ridiculous. It's like
unsubscribe from that design.
So,
like they've done nothing.
I've never seen it. So
well, I mean, r/movies, they know nothing about movies.
Goldmine.
Yeah,
that's true.
But
anyway,
but I have to say the Cybertruck. For me, the best thing about it is like I think it's a little bit ridiculous, but I don't think that it's bad. I like that it exists.
Yeah.
But ridiculous in its design, or like
personally, I feel like it is kind of silly and ridiculous personally, but I don't think that
you don't like it.
But I don't think
like
that Tim.
It's your style, right? Like the whole.
Yeah, it's not my style, but
I
don't think that Tim. I'm not saying that Tim liking it is bad. I think that's great because I love the contradictory, like tastes that we have. But it's great, and I'm just so happy that it exists, and I love seeing all the memes.
Yeah, I've seen a few. I like the Hagrid PlayStation one.
That was a good one. Hagrid. But here's the thing about electric cars. One thing, because like I said, I hate cars. Like I can't believe it's been 100 years.
Wait, Tim. Okay, I have to stop you for a second. First of all,
sorry. So you're the host. You have the rights. You have the rights.
You own a car. That's number one. So be careful. You can't talk so much because you literally own a car.
But it's a necessity.
It is, but
it's
I'm just saying.
Like
it's a necessity. But
I don't
you
drive
can't shit on cars so much. I'm just saying if you own one. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not shitty. Like here's the thing. Like I own a car.
I
can't afford an electric car.
I think they're bad for the environment too. I agree.
No, okay. So I'll say I own a car, but I don't like a car. Like I know about cars now because I had to buy a car, so I had to learn about cars. Before that, I knew nothing about cars.
But that's what I wanted to ask you about because that was one of my points on my list.
Oh, you made a list. Great.
I wanted to say that this movie is about cars, and I wanted to ask you guys, in general, like what your opinion is about cars in general. What you think about them? Are you interested in them?
All right.
Okay. And also, what is your history with cars? Well, obviously, Phil, you don't have anything to say, but Tim, you have some things to say about your car ownership and so on. So.
Well, in that case, I can be first, and I'll be very fast. For me, I can understand the appeal of cars, the speed, the mechanics, and making them run. But at the same time, I have no interest in them whatsoever, and I can't tell one brand from the other unless I look at the logo. And even when I look at the logo, I only know like 40% of them, so I can't even tell you like, oh, is that a Subaru or is it a Pontiac DX5 or is that a GeForce GTX? NVIDIA. I don't know.
Yeah, a bit Radeon. Anyway, Radeon. Go on. What is Radeon Punto? I'm interested to hear what you say. Go on with your story about.
Oh, wait, who? No, now me?
Yeah. You were going.
So I would be Phil now if But I'm married. I have a child, and I have family that's all across Europe. So I have a car. But I had no intention of getting a driving license or getting a car. If I was single, I would most likely not get that because I don't know. I'm just like the thing is like cars are so stupid. I can't believe like it was a great industrial and technology advancement of creating cars, but I can't believe 100 years it's the same damn thing. It's running on fossil fuels. It's horrible for the environment. We're depleting all our stores of that. It's just spewing shit into the atmosphere.
Well, and I'll add to that as well. Not only those points, but driving a car is one of the most dangerous modes of transportation.
It's the most dangerous thing in the world.
It is, though.
You're always in danger. Other people in danger.
Literally, this is how I see it, right? I see like driving is like your life and the lives of others around you is dependent on your concentration. Like,
yes.
That's a direct correlation. Like if you are not concentrated and for whatever reason, even if you're, this obviously depends. If you're a good driver with years of experience, a lot of that is muscle memory and instinct and stuff like that. But still, bottom line is you have to be focused on what you're doing because you never know what could happen. Yeah. And you're directly responsible, which is an insane idea. And to think that you have to do this every day, for instance, if you commute and stuff like that, it's a wild concept.
Yeah, and it's not even just like it's other drivers. It's just normal other people just are walking around the street. You're endangering them. And, that's one thing. And then and just the concept, like it's a big ass car, but 90% is just one driver in there, right? And like when I'm in like okay, and like I'm not like a person who's like enjoys driving much. It's I was very stressed out getting driving licenses. Like maybe if it was like a seaside windy road and I was the only person on there, no one else, I wouldn't have to take over anyone. I would maybe enjoy that ride, like take speed and turn, like maybe that would be good. Like even when I play like driving games, I don't want anyone there and I just free roam. I don't do races. I just do like just enjoying the view. You know what I mean? So that's one part of it. But like in the city, like my wife was like, why don't you ever take that? Like it was like last week.
What happened last week?
I had to go get something sorted about the new apartment. It's like you have these places where you have to figure out like how much you can pay for the water and all that stuff, right? And the previous owners, they had to go there as well and sign off, right? And it took us a while to get this coordinated. And I'm like, okay, we have to do it in the morning. And I'm like, oh man, there's going to be so many cars. So I look at the Google Maps and it's like, okay, so if I go there by car, it's 8 minutes. If I walk there, it's 50 minutes. I'm like, I'm walking. I'm like, I'd rather walk there and it's like mine and below. Instead, like sit in a car with other people and like stuck in traffic. Just like, what are we doing here? What are we? Why are we like? What's wrong with the humanity that we're all stuck in these boxes, just sitting on the road, spewing terrible gases in the atmosphere? Like, how is this 100 years of this? Like, I'm just so confused. Like, how's no one upset about this?
It's called money,
and and it's just like, and everyone's like I talk to like, oh, but like it's cheaper to use so electric and like, oh, it's been like this forever. Like it's a comfort, man. Like your own car, you're sitting there.
But that's true. Those are valid arguments. I mean, if you think about it,
how is that comfortable? Like if I sit in a tram,
apart from the okay, go on.
Okay, I'm just like okay. So to me, going to work in a car is not comfortable. You're stuck in traffic lights. There's people going crazy. People's honking at you, and you're sitting in this big ass car or whatever. I'd rather sit on a tram and listen to a podcast or look at my phone. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I'm not like a huge advocate for cars, but I'm just saying that there are valid arguments in the sense of like the feeling of like the, think about it more idealistically, like in the sense of like, going across Route 66, freedom, like,
yeah, but
I get the concept.
Now,
I get the, I know, but I get the concept of like, imagine, for instance, if you live in like a smaller town with low traffic, it's really nice to have a car. It's nice to like drive around and go to the shop, 3 minutes away.
And there's no like, transit, so you have to do it. Yeah. Yeah,
like those are good arguments, I think, for that. But yeah, I agree. For instance, like why wouldn't you take a tram that's way easier, simpler, safer than be stuck in traffic? Totally agree.
Yeah. And cheaper. I mean, it's like I'm just so surprised that, it's just, like what
it's weird, right? How
and and electric cars. Thank you Tesla. Thanks to Tesla, are becoming popular now. But there's one thing I was talking to my friend who's like a big gearhead, and we're talking about he's always Tesla, but the new BMW, it'll have great whatever cars with, and they'll do electric and it'll be so much better. But we were talking about like, okay, so if we are all moving all to electric, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, that there's a problem, and we talked about everything, and he's talking about the electric grids won't take it, like you can upgrade always, that's fine, and range will be bad, they can upgrade that as well, you can have great ranges. But one thing that worries me is for, let's say, someone like me, right? So if you have a house, right, you have a garage and you put the electric charger there and you're sorted, right? Park in, like charge it like your phone. If you move into apartment building, like a new construction apartment building, they usually have underground garages. No problem. Put a charger there. But let's say if you live in an apartment building like me, which is an old building, I don't have a garage. My car is just on the street, right? So if I want to get an electric car, and which is like 80% of people like in this city, right, live in previously like last 100-year-old, apartment buildings. Yeah. How will I charge my car?
Well, couldn't you charge it just like at one of those charging stations? There'll probably be more of in the future.
Well, yeah, but like you would just go.
You'd
sit there for 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm the least capable person of answering this, but I heard somewhere that they're going to make the battery charging faster.
I was going to say the supercharging. Like I know, for instance, on Teslas, I think they have a supercharging mode where you can like charge it up fully to like in a half an hour or something like that.
I think it's
or up to 80% or something, some high number.
Okay.
And
Some high number.
But listen, I'm serious. But
Yeah.
half an hour is not that bad. For instance, if you go and they have a charging station, right? Well, imagine if you plug it in the morning or something. Let's say on your way to work or something, or coming back from work or whenever. Or you figure out maybe I don't know, on the weekend, Saturdays, you take your car to get charged or something. And
the way it is,
they might have a chill place where you can go get lunch or something and you just plug it in.
Yeah.
so you would say
croissant.
Okay, so maybe because
Say
in a
croissant.
city,
I had a croissant today.
like in America where you have parking spaces and spaces for everything. That's great. Like in European cities, there's not a lot of parking space. You know what I'm saying?
I still could imagine that there would be let's say, I don't know, here, let's say in Zagreb, they have a couple of those charging stations I noticed, and they have them in garages, the public garages. That's an option, right? You park it in the public garage. I guess they charge for that. I'm not sure how that works. Or you pay for the parking for an hour or two,
and then
you go roam around in the city, and you just do some
the only
shopping
problem
and
is
come back.
being dependent on that, and then when you're running
being
on low
dependent.
energy,
Let's say you have to
But what
charge
other
every
options do
3
you have,
days,
though?
right? Well, that's what I'm saying.
What options you have if you're in a city like that. I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying. That could lower the adoption. That could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Maybe if let's say every business anywhere you go.
But wait a
has
second. What is the problem with this? If there's gas stations and that's the same principle, you have to be at a place.
Well,
because
gas
it takes 5
times.
minutes, right?
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, that's the
Gas
thing.
is
You go to a
like,
gas station 5 minutes and then you go, right?
You put the dino bones in your car.
Yeah.
Dude, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, I know.
I hate
when
I don't
when you have
it
someone like a conservative Christian, they're like, "Wow, I'll use gas and electricity." I'm like,
It's you're literally.
do you even know what that is?
Yeah, that's what I don't
They probably
understand.
believe the Earth is 7,000 years old.
Probably.
They're
Seven-
going on crazy defending their oil.
15,000 years old. I'm sorry.
Who's 15? Who says 15?
It depends.
I thought
Oh,
Bible
it
says
depends, I
1,000.
guess.
Different views, my friend. No, but I want to say,
Who says 15?
I don't know, Tim.
Where'd you get the 15 from? Now I'm curious.
I don't know. Phil brought up 15.
Phil, where'd you
I
get
know the
15
classic
from?
is
I don't know.
7,000 is the classic.
I thought,
Yeah,
no,
7.
6,000.
Something like that, yeah. 6.
There you go.
Well, up to 7, isn't it? I don't know.
I don't know.
What are we
One of those,
talking
I
about?
think it's 6,000, I think.
What are you guys' opinion about the electric cars?
Oh,
I
yes.
thought you were going to say creationism.
let's not go mental here.
I believe that we have a problem, and that is the problem that the facts are in, which are fossil fuels. Fossil fuels.
We're the best.
are
We don't even need
limited.
beers for this.
Listen, yeah, we
No,
don't.
no.
The fossil fuels are limited, and we're running out. I think the number is I think we'll run out of
Lieutenant
these
Fassel
fossil
on the job.
fuels in 50 to 100 years. I think completely.
Yeah.
All the coal and the dino bones and all that
Yes.
stuff. That's what I call them. And this is bad. This is very
Yes.
bad. And I think that everyone knows this, and everyone should know this. So
No one
yes.
knows this, man. People are
Okay,
idiots.
well, then I assume wrongly, but I think people should know this. And
they should. They should definitely.
and I think that's why these are big problems when it comes to using gas and stuff. I mean, it's going to be a problem. Let's just put it that way. It's going to be a problem. But I learned some interesting things about these fossil fuels, and that is that I think the general consensus is just public transportation is a huge relief to that problem in the sense that because if you can pack 50 people in a tram, they're going in the same direction.
Yeah.
Using one thing running on fossil fuels.
It's not fossil.
I know. It's electric still, but this is something. This is my question for you guys. This is great. We brought up this topic.
Okay.
So electric cars, right? Here's the question: electric cars are just one step back in terms of solving the problem. It's really not solving the problem because you're still using fossil fuels because the electric grid runs on.
Not
fossil
anymore.
fuels.
Not anymore.
Oh, because you're talking about nuclear and.
Well, nuclear
is
is like the most
the
efficient one, right?
Yeah, efficient way. Yeah,
But you got
right. I'm thinking wrong.
wind and water and solar. These are all
Renewable,
clean,
basically.
renewable energy. Yeah, you don't have
Solar
to
panels.
keep digging.
So,
Yeah.
so it is solving the problem then because we're not.
Yeah, but
putting,
there's definitely a lot of people, a lot of organizations that want to keep that fossil fuel and train
I
running.
know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like Ford,
I guess so. Yeah.
probably.
Ford, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I think it's time for a song.
Yeah.
What I'm worried is it's going to be one of those things we're almost out,
Dude, it's gonna happen.
No more dinos.
I don't know.
No more
I'm
dinos.
doubtful that it's gonna be conscious
because everyone's too but just my life. Well, in my lifetime,
but
it'll
Tim,
be fine.
I also believe this is
Let
my
me drive
belief.
my huge ass V8 freaking
My
truck to
belief
work
is that some efforts to combat this,
Gas
I think,
guzzler.
are not looking at the big picture. Like some things that are small changes, they seem good, but there's bigger fish to fry in terms of solving these issues.
Like tankers. Tankers are the
like
worst.
Ford.
Like Ford.
But I'm serious. Like I'm saying, like for instance,
Tankers. Those they use up.
I don't
Those
know.
are the
Like,
big ones. Those are the worst.
yeah.
And I'm
Tankers?
surprised.
You mean the ones on the ocean?
Supply ships,
Yes.
like those big
Dude,
ones.
like-
They
That
take up all
stuff.
the guzzle.
Yeah.
They guzzle up all the what did you call them?
Vassals.
Vessel.
Dino bones.
Dino bones are what you put in your car.
There's like about 100 dinosaurs in one. I don't know.
Dude,
Well, because I know the old dino
thousands of
bones
dinosaurs.
they have a lot of joules of energy.
Yeah,
I read this on waitbutwhy.com.
a lot of joules.
And well, I don't like that's the funniest thing. Like I always thought that waterbound vehicles like boats and ships, I thought those would be the first ones to convert to electric or something
Yeah, why
because
not?
they're on the water and buoyancy keeps them afloat. All you need is a little push and they can just push.
But it depends,
The
like there's
wind-
currents and
the
stuff.
wind
The wind will go back to the wooden ships with the sails.
Sales ships.
Yeah.
The
It's
wind's
true.
blowing east. Oh no, we have to
Anyway,
go
let's
south.
stop this. Okay.
But that
Okay, what, Tim?
But the tankers, the tankers.
We can come back to the tankers after the song break.
it's okay. Wait. I'll finish on that, and then but like the tankers, like there wouldn't be so much like the. Like we're getting in politics right now. This is so bad, but that's part of the problem. You wouldn't need so many tankers if like the distribution and
Yeah, I know goods and services. And
it's too mental.
We need to do homegrown. Bring it back to America. That's what we need to
America
do.
first.
Bring
No, but I'm
oranges
serious, but
back
there
to
needs
America.
there needs to be local production.
We have an
of
orange in
things.
America. He's
That'll
doing a
help.
great job.
Then you don't need so many goddamn tankers.
Yeah, exactly. Local production, and then we can have the electric cars travel and bring about the
No. We
products.
want cheap labor coming from other places that we can
No,
exploit.
Phil,
Okay, let's
no.
stop. We're done.
And
We're
then
playing
Playing a
a
song.
song.
I'm the
Dinos.
host. I get to
Tim,
say
shut
that.
up.
No, I get to say
sorry,
that. I'm the
sorry.
host. You say it next time when you're the host.
Okay.
Okay, so we're done. We're playing a record. Johnny, hit it. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10. It's glistening once again with candy canes and silver lanes that glow.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store. But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door.
A pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots is the wish of Barney and Ben.
Dog that'll talk and we'll go for a walk is the hope of Janice and Jen. Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. There's a tree in the Grand Hotel, one in the park as well. It's a sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start, and the thing that'll make them ring is the carol that you sing right within your heart. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store. But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. Sure, it's Christmas once more.
Hey,
Hey.
thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, Johnny. What a wonderful Christmas
What do you
cheer.
guys think of that?
So how much did you pay
there's-
Johnny to play that?
Guys,
how much
there's
is on
no-
the table?
A lot of money.
There's no politics.
My life savings.
It's good that we went to something so far away from politics than
Far
Christmas.
away. Christmas.
It's true.
It could be controversial too.
The corporate
Christmas, but
the corporate pagan holiday that turned into a Christian one for some reason.
Well, the Christians took it, and then Coca-Cola came and it's like,
oh yeah, Santa Claus.
Y'all ready for Santa Claus? and now everyone's like, yeah, Christmas is a red Santa Claus with giving presents.
Can you believe it? That's the weirdest thing in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, very
in
strange.
Japan, it's Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders is the Colonel Fossil Fuel.
Fossil Fuel. I'm just like so.
Wait, can I promo my music? So what you listened to was
I'm so sorry, Jacob.
What we listened to is a track that me and my fiance Paula made. We have more songs on YouTube.
Yes. What is it?
And I paid Johnny a lot of money to pay this to promo it.
A lot of sense.
Yeah. And you can check us out at Paula and Jake with an ampersand.
Paula ampersand Jake
and Jake, or PJ is a little.
I mean, it could be Phil Jake, but
and you can look up songs like "Christmas Memories." It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, which was the track. This is like a salesman. And then we have our new song as well this week, and we're doing this project called Advent, where every week, in the weeks of Advent, we post a song, a video song.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so we did 3 songs, right? Because we're in the 3rd week, right, of Christmas.
Yeah, it's going to be the 4th one,
and now the 4th one's coming out. So if you're interested to hear the 4th one, check us out on YouTube. And
you should put that on Bandcamp afterwards. I think people will.
Yeah,
special appearance by Vin Diesel in the next one, right?
Yeah, Vin Diesel. We call him, but we'll see.
He comes in.
He didn't agree with your
my money on Johnny.
you didn't have enough money for the octo bass, so you just got Vin Diesel's deep voice.
But anyway, that's our stuff project going on. So check us out if you like what you hear.
I liked it very much.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
It's
very
fun making the video songs. It's been really fun. It's actually a lot of work to do the music and the video.
Yeah,
but the cool thing is the video
DIY,
is what you see is what you get. That means what you see is what you hear.
Yeah, it's not dubbed over anything. It's the actual take.
Oh, it's not the overdub. It's the actual take. Wow.
Yeah. All actual takes, pure.
Yeah. You know what I recently found out? You know the Scry POckets?
Yes.
So Adam Neely was in one of the episodes, and he's a YouTuber and a bass man, a music theory man that I watch. Okay. And he talked about the experience, which I didn't know because I just watched the videos of Scry POckets. Scry POckets is the side project of Jack Conte, the president of Patreon, and the
former
Pamplemousse man, and he's
the bald guy with the mustache,
beard.
No beard.
Oh,
and
that's all I imagine.
It's a little band, and they do funk covers of pop songs and stuff. And as I said, Adam Neely was in one of those songs, and they say it's like they meet like an hour before. Everyone knows what song it is, and they just kind of work it out. What's it going to be? Practice twice, and then they do it, and they record the video and the song, and that's it.
Yeah. It's kind of like that's kind of what our process has been. Actually, it's very interesting because the approach that's fun is if you just have an idea of what you want to do roughly, like what style you want to go in. You just riff it out on the guitar, you riff it out on the melodies, and like in half an hour to an hour, you already have a song, that you want to do. And then really the hard work is just laying out all the tracks, right? Okay. And recording it, and then arranging it how you want it. And then obviously getting all the footage of all the takes.
Yeah.
And then when you're done with that, then you mix the song, and then you sync up the takes, and then edit it.
Hope the takes are good.
Well, you can't do anything about it because the take is the take. You can't change it. That's the take that's in the track. So that's interesting. I like the process. We should do some video songs. It'd be fun.
Right. Yeah.
Where are we talking? Oh yeah, I wanted since we're on the topic of cars. I recently drove on the highway, which is very interesting.
I saw the picture of that.
Yes. So I haven't driven that much in my time in my life. I got my license a long time ago. And then I just didn't drive for years.
Yeah.
And it was a very interesting experience driving on the highway because it was at night in the fog.
Yeah, scary.
That was scary.
Very scary.
Yeah.
I know the highway is the most dangerous, but isn't that the easy? I just love
it. Feels the least dangerous.
It's so simple. There's simple rules. And, I enjoyed like driving in a town, and there's like a zillion things you have to watch out for, rules.
Well, because the nice thing about the highway is just like, okay, the scary part is that you're driving at such a high speed, and you can't like stop. Like you can't be like, I'm done, I want to get off. You have to keep going, like that's it.
I'm turning right here, boys. There's people who have done. I've seen YouTube videos of.
But the great thing about it is that you just it feels cool to go fast, and you don't have to do much, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to what I hate. So my pet peeve in driving is, well, first of all, I can drive automatic. I'm not automatic.
I can drive. Well, wow, great. Way to go, champ.
I can drive a manual, and I'm good. I'm good at switching gears. I'm really good. I have a really good feel for it.
Yeah,
but I don't prefer it.
Do you take it up to 5,000 RPM?
No, I don't know if I did.
On that,
is it possible? I drove like 110 kilometers an hour, 120 on the highway.
Well, it depends on your car. I mean, like, I was just talking about RPM, like the revs. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to say the pet peeve is that I don't like the whole being stuck in traffic and we have to do the little nudges, like, oh, move forward a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you have to always put it in first gear, right? And then just vroom, vroom,
yes.
Vroom, vroom. It's like, stop.
The worst part is when you have to do that uphill. Man, the first time I got stuck in a traffic jam uphill is just so frustrating.
I have a story to tell. It's very lame. You guys will find it very uninteresting, but I thought it was interesting.
I'm curious.
Is that I ran through a yellow light twice recently, and we were driving, and I felt like 10 miles. And we were driving, and I was like, I'm going at a pretty good speed, like 50, 60 kilometers. I don't know what that is in miles per hour. Let's do that for our listeners. So 60 kilometers per hour.
You know what I just thought? Someday we can do this like on Twitch or something.
That's 37 miles an hour, something like that. It says here. Okay, that was the speed I was going, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And it was a green light, and I was driving that speed, and I was getting super close, and it turned yellow, and it was kind of far, actually, to be honest with you. It was yellow. And I was like, oh no, what do I do? And Paula's just like, just gas it. You have to gas it because you have to make the yellow light. And so
it's actually much safer to do that than to brake.
Exactly. And so I was just like, boom, and I gassed the pedal, and I felt like 10 miles going through the yellow. I was like, well, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Thank you for the anticlimactic.
That's my story. That's the gas.
So have you guys had that experience, Tim? Gassing it?
I had it when I was taking my lessons. I did the exact opposite.
Oh no!
So I was my driving instructor yelled at me because it was coming up, and then I kind of was like thinking about all the things, switching gears and everything, and I realized it switched from green to yellow, and I just hit the brakes, just immediately, and it's like, what are you doing, man? Yeah, like, imagine there was a huge semi truck behind you.
I thought you said.
I thought he was gonna say, imagine that there was a huge bear. I'm gonna run into the bear.
I was like, imagine there's a truck that can't brake as much. Like, this is a tiny car, you broke easily, but imagine you can't do that. Like, they will annihilate you unless you're like saving life. There's like somebody actually jumping out in front of you. Yes, brake then.
Different.
But a yellow light, calm down. Like a red light's different. Don't run on a red light like a maniac. You'll die. Somebody's gonna hit you from the side. But like I
agree.
Those are the most dangerous drivers who are just like unpredictable. Just brake.
I think also the thing that also I don't know if it's like super. I feel more confident now driving more. I feel definitely more confident. But the thing that I don't like is the feeling where you're driving down a road with a couple of lanes, and it feels fine. But the thing is that at the same time, you have to always be careful of people who aren't going to follow the rules correctly. Yeah. Like people on the side of you who will, let's say, want to, go into your lane, and they like just put their blinker on and be like, and move into your lane, Like
those are the worst.
So now basically you have two jobs. One job is to pay attention to the road, to the rules, make sure you're doing everything safe properly, and to the crazy drivers.
The people not doing their
so
part.
That's the thing that's a little bit,
And if all our cars were, driven by self-driving, we don't have to worry about this.
Yeah,
I know, but you saw
do you
how
guys think that the next
it's still difficult
wave is going to be like Uber, but self-driven cars?
I don't know, man, because like the self-driving cars still have a lot of things.
I know, but let's say 20, 30 years from now. Yeah, that seems like a good estimate.
I think so. I mean, they have a lot to go, and it's not going to be as safe unless all of them are self-driving. To be honest,
that's the thing.
Yeah. Because if they're all self-driving, they just talk to each other and just be like, oh, okay, we'll all drive the same speed. Like even like the funny thing is, I'm on a highway, and we all have cruise control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has cruise control, right? And it's amazing. You just set your speed and you're done. You don't have to think about it. Take your foot off the pedal and whatever. in every modern car. Yet I'm still on a highway and there's a limit, 130. If all of us just set it to 130 and just drove there would be no problem. We would all get there in time.
But there's those people, Tim. There's those guys who just have to do
fast. And there's people who drive too slow. And there's people, and you're like
maybe
you're on a highway.
Who said that? Or did this happen somewhere where it's like they have like limits, like where the like digitally the car is like no, like in this area you can't go slower or faster than this, and it locks your car.
It's like you're on a highway and there's like a normal like a modern car right in front of you, right? And it's a straight road, and their brake light turns on. Like, what on earth are you even braking for right now? Like, even if you're not like a highway and you want to go slower, why are you braking? Just get off the pedal. Yeah, I'm just so confused.
Pedal
Maybe they have automatic. You have to like.
That's a good question.
I don't know.
So listen, guys. The next movie that we're going to talk about is called Rush, and the reason why I picked Rush, 2013 film, is I hadn't seen it before, and that's the
Ron
reason.
Howard.
I was going to watch Speed Racer.
Oh yeah, Ron Howard.
But then I figured I remembered a lot of Speed Racer, and I wanted to watch something I haven't seen.
Which, disclaimer, is a good movie.
Which, yeah, by the way, I wanted to say before we get into that, Tim, have you seen Speed Racer?
Yes, you guys convinced me to see it.
What did you think? In brief,
I don't know. A lot of eye candy. I don't.
You didn't like it?
I did not like the visuals, but I thought the story was. I think.
You know what? Maybe we should.
I
rewatch
don't remember
at some
the story
because I remember the last.
He's in Generals. Isn't the same dude in this? No. Is it?
No. I just the reason Speed Racer.
Who plays
like
in
racing and
who plays
the
Speed
guy
Racer?
who plays in the Out to the Wild. You know that story about that guy who went to Alaska?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I forgot his name. I know John Goodman is in it. That's all I remember.
Yeah, but I thought it was an interesting film.
It's a long ass movie. My eyes hurt.
What, Speed Racer?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, what's Rush?
So Rush is a film about racing. Who would have thought?
Ooh, we're back.
I know it's about,
but it's faster cars.
It's about Formula One, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like the fastest racing, isn't it?
That's like the worst offender in this.
Really?
Yeah, it's like it's faster and more dangerous. Like,
yeah. And so this is a film about an Austrian race car driver, Formula One driver named Niki Lauda.
I know everything about Niki Lauda.
You know everything about him.
Played by General Zemo.
That's right, General Zemo.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
And a British race car driver named, anyone know? James Hunt is his name.
Played by
who?
Thor.
Played by Thor. Hey, they're both in Marvel.
Yeah, General
movies.
Zemo versus Thor. That's what.
And it tracks the stories about their like rivalry and them trying to win the championship.
He does look like Niki Lauda.
Formula One.
Anyway, I don't know if you know, but Lauda had an airline, Lauda Air.
Oh, really?
Was that his?
Mm-hmm.
No way. I think they're gone.
Yeah,
He's
they're
Austrian. You guys.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah, so we know a lot about him. I remember seeing him in Oswald. Not in person.
So you've been claimed that you know a lot about him. Let's hear
Niki
now.
Lauda.
Come on.
Buddies.
When did you meet him?
Out in the golf course.
When was he born? Who were his parents?
No. I just remembered like seeing him in magazines and stuff and wondering who he was because I saw that he had like weird marks on his face.
Yeah, scarring.
And then later on, I found out he had burn marks.
Interesting.
And Lauda Air was like I saw stickers for the mascot.
I wanted to buy tickets with Lauda Air to like England, and then when I went back,
And you're like Niki.
I called Phil. Where's Lauda? And after when I came back, they were gone. It said like Lauda Airline merged or went away or something.
Oh. Didn't he die recently, Niki Lauda?
He did, and that's the thing.
He did?
Yeah, I didn't know that either because like I heard about this movie right when it came out, and I was like, I checked Wikipedia, and he's alive, and he died, I think, this year.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. But he was an old man,
an old frail man.
So yeah, this movie was about that rivalry, and I gotta say, guys, I didn't like it that much, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I felt like, okay, this is maybe an unfair comparison, but when I was watching the movie, I felt like the way it was structured and like I don't think it's a bad film in terms of how the characters were portrayed and the acting and things like this, but in terms of structure and how they told this story, I was just thinking about Ford versus Ferrari. I was like, wow, like that movie like flows, and I had no issue like watching.
That's hilarious.
It made so much sense to me. Like it was like, this is a very intriguing story, and this was, in some senses, it reminded me of like Bohemian Rhapsody. Where you have like these like compilations of like, and then they raced here, and then they raced there, and then ooh, now we're at this race. And then they meet each other and they talk a little bit. And it's like a little, banter and then this and this. And then we're off to this. And then finally the big race is here. And then he wins. And then at the end, like I was kind of hoping for a proper like sort of narrative and what's the...
This is director Ron Howard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, before
that was my initial impressions. And so it was a very strange kind of... It didn't feel like there was any kind of meat in the movie to me. So
it was a vegan movie.
Yeah.
Before I comment on your opinion, I just want to say, since you mentioned Bohemian Rhapsody, I was watching these two movies. I was really wondering, like, I wonder, because when we watch Bohemian Rhapsody, you kind of have a little bit of idea of Queen, you have a little bit of idea how records are made and how the business works, and you're looking at it like, this is all wrong. I wonder if people who know about these events and know about racing, if these movies seem the same way. So yeah, maybe if you are a race person, if you're listening and you watch,
if you're a racist,
if you're a racist, exactly. If you're a racist and you watch most of these movies, well, let us know what you think. Was this racist enough for you or not? So yeah. The funny thing is, I had the exact opposite impression.
Really,
I really liked the movie. What I thought it was lacking was in the casting and the acting, and I would say this movie would be better if someone like Christian Bale was acting. And there's nothing wrong with Zemo and Thor, but I think I would say I didn't carry the movie for me, because like I think for Zemo going with Niki Lauda, I think it was a little bit too much of a caricature to me. Like it didn't feel like a real person. While Thor didn't really offer anything. Like, yes, he was hot and he was like hot-headed, but I think like that stuff like his character, like which you have in Ragnarok. Like that's not shining through.
What is behind these characters and what is the actual...
But as far as the story, I really enjoyed it much more than Le Mans, because it wasn't so one-sided. I liked the fact that no one was the bad guy and no one was the good guy. It was, you had the both perspectives.
That is good, I think. Yeah.
And the point was the relationship and, the surrounding, how crazy it was, and no one was portrayed as bad. They did both mistakes and they were both assholes to each other, but it was a clean approach to just kind of portraying how things were.
Interesting.
And I liked it going back and forth. I didn't know what the story was, like in the middle of the movie, Niki Lauda has this accident, and I had no idea where it's going to go afterwards or when it's going to end. It was just like seeing it like that. That was much more enjoyable to me than Fuck Yeah America. That was
I know, I understand. Those are good points. But I wanted to say what I found interesting was that at the end of the film, when James Hunt, he's like, I got to go party, and I don't, I'll race later. And then he ended up retiring, in real life, and he stopped doing racing. That was interesting, because I thought for some reason I had the wrong impression that this James Hunt guy was like the playboy, crazy speed lover who died racing. That's what, for some reason, I thought that was good.
Oh,
that was
really?
my
That's
impression.
good.
I don't know. And I thought Niki Lauda was the reasonable, guy who understood the dangers, and he maybe was injured, but he survived.
Well, that's because the poster. Remember the poster?
Maybe.
It was exactly like Thor. The first Thor poster was just his face.
Yeah, just face.
So maybe that's why I found that interesting. That at the end he just kind of was into that, and then kind of.
Can we just talk about like? Can you believe poster? Companies think that the intensity of someone's face is enough to sell.
Don't get me on
the
poster
concept.
Companies, man.
What?
Don't get me started on poster companies.
Okay, we'll do that next time.
So Formula
it's okay.
One.
I'm just like it's weird. But
what were some interesting things? What are go ahead.
No, you go. I
don't know. I would say, what are some other interesting things about this film?
What is interesting about it?
Well, there's Raiffeisen which is interesting.
Oh. What?
Why?
Raiffeisen Bank. I don't know. Just
Raiffeisen.
Because you're from Austria.
Yeah,
I guess.
One thing that was interesting to me was the comparison between Niki and Hunt, and it was just like so you have the raw talent, and Hunt, and then you have the craftsman on the other side. And it's something that I've been thinking about like throughout my life, and I wanted to ask you guys, like, where do you see yourself as on that spectrum? Because one is like Hunt, he has the raw talent, and I don't know what talent actually is, but he has a natural way of driving, but he doesn't work on it, he doesn't think about it, and he's often very like emotional, as in
He's just
he
basically
didn't
just
work on
relying-
it to do it good. So when it's not working, it's very confusing, and he goes drinking or he's upset about it. And that's a a person like that you can identify. Like like let's say you never work on your drawing, right? You just kind of like kind of works for you and everything, and then when it doesn't, or like let's say making music or whatever you do in your life, right? And then when it doesn't, you're upset. Like you're trying to make something, but you don't know how to get there because you never worked on the craft. You don't know the theory. You don't know how to get to that point. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It can be very frustrating if it doesn't. That's like one spectrum. And on the other hand, you have Niki, who's just like super, he comes from the theory. He knows what it means about cars. If he does that, this will happen. And he's like super confident. And, he's the master craftsman. He understands what he's doing, and like to me personally, like I oftentimes things I do, I'm on the raw talent kind of things. I don't know anything about it and just kind of wing it, and it works. But then it's super frustrating because when you want to advance it, you don't know how. So like that's where I am, but I wish I was the craftsman. I just don't have the attention.
I think that's interesting that you said this, but I would probably distinguish it a little different. I would say that it's not necessarily about, because I feel like if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that Niki Lauda is maybe sort of more into the theory of what he's doing, and therefore because he knows the theory better, he can advance.
Oh no, I mean like like that's one part of it. Like one is like exercise, and one is like working it out. Like understanding it. Not just like learning the theory of a book.
Okay.
Like a systematic approach to it.
Yeah, I think the way I would probably distinguish it is you have, if you have the raw talent, then you need to develop the habit to work. So I have a plug. I'm reading a book, which is a recommended book that I've heard for years recommended by all kinds of people. And everyone says like, man, if you are a craftsman or are you working on something or an artist or whatever... It's a good book. You should read it. I would highly recommend it. It's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. It's actually a really short book, but he talks about exactly what you're saying, Tim, here. And he's talking about that if you want to advance, if you want to get better at what you're doing, basically you can't rely on, like what James Hunt does, he relies on waiting for the muse, he puts it, waiting for the muse to arrive. That means that James Hunt is running around drinking beer, partying, and he's like, oh, hopefully it'll arrive when I go and race, maybe.
It's like the Neanderthal approach.
Who knows? Who knows? Like it could be 50-50 chance, could be even worse. That maybe the
it's
muse
magic.
arrives
We don't know how it works.
Every 3 weeks, And so what he argues in the book is just saying that in his experience is that you need to work every day. You need to do what you're doing every single day, or at least regularly. Maybe not every single day, but that's the best case scenario. But you need to keep doing it. And so I would say that, in my opinion, it's not so much about like learning per se, like specifically learning or like systematically approaching it, but just over time, you pick up things that you understand how they work and how they work for what your craft is. So over time, you people who are experienced, the reason why they're better than other people, they might not be even more talented. They just picked up all the tricks and they understand how to put that in context.
The meaning of it in context.
In context. They know, oh, well, I've done this before and this will work, this won't. Why? Well, because of that. And that's a huge difference between someone who's like super talented, but they don't know how to use that.
And that's how people get the big bucks.
Yeah.
But unless they charge very little.
So to me, that's fascinating. That's what I'm kind of learning is very interesting, is that there's one thing to be interested in the sort of pure art and, your own personal craft. But at the same time, it's even more interesting to learn how to be more, rounded out and sort of like, what is it that makes the professionals?
Yeah.
Professionals, it's that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I would even build up on, like, let's say, like, okay, so you have two approaches, right? The systematic theory and the raw talent. Like, and the, systematic thing, like, you don't have the, like, sort of instinctive thing to it, but you understand the theory, so you can do it some way, right? But you don't, you can maybe never have the sparkle, the creativity. On the other hand, like, raw, like, when it's working, it's working. When it isn't, it's frustrating. You don't know what to do. So, like you said, you practice it. And there's definitely, like, let's say in movies, I know directors who never or like actors who never learned the theory or anything. They just did it enough, so they kind of paved their own way, and they had their own way of understanding it, right? And then it gives them to like a level of expertise.
Right.
But I think the next level is if you do that and you also know the theory, you're God level right now. That's like the end.
I guess, but I wouldn't go so far to say that automatically if you know the theory you're better.
No. But I'm saying on top of that, like let's say if you have all three,
bonus.
like this is all three things. Like if I think of like master composers.
Oh, you're saying like
all
basically
like,
they've maximally they've maximized their probability.
Yeah, like they have the so-called talent or whatever is the natural approach.
Gotcha.
You know, they work on it. And they take their time to learn the theory, you know, like like that's what I would like to be, but like I am like nowhere near any. But
that's
of
why
that.
I think that this is how I look at it. Like I know that I'll never learn, let's say, music theory, you know, in a well enough way to be super useful or intricate. I know that. So I'm just going to take the other approach.
Why you think so? Why do you think that?
I don't know. I think because
Yes, why do you think so,
I don't know. I just feel like that's one huge weakness of mine where I can't seem to focus enough to learn. You know,
so just not
theory.
focus
enough.
I think
I have some strange like way of learning things, and it never seems to stick, and I never figured out a system of how can I make it stick for me.
Well, with
it's
music
basically
theory,
laziness.
One thing that I found out is like it works well if you just like you learn like a music theory principle and then you go immediately and practice it, like try it out. That really like you connect the like the theoretical part with the practical and like an emotional part, and like
that's a good way.
Like you know, you learn how to create it and then how to feel it. Because like,
but what's interesting,
sorry, like we like me and Jake used to make music all the time, like, and we still do, and a lot of times I'll like create a song and don't know how to finish it, and it would be just so frustrating because it's like there was the spark at the beginning and then you're like, what do I do with it now? You know what I mean? And that's when
how
like,
do we live our lives
comes to hand. It's like,
I agree with you, because like for instance, I know, let's say there's some things I learned, or even like you said, the basics. Like I kind of a few years ago like learned a little bit about like the circle of fifths in music.
Yeah,
and those kinds of concepts, I don't fully understand it, but there's some of those concepts.
I learned it, but I understand it.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm saying I learned of it, and I kind of learned to apply some of the principles. And then you realize, wow, like making a song is way easier when you know some of these things.
Yes.
Because then you go, oh, well, how do we end the song? Like you said, well, we throw in this chord because that fits in this, pattern for a reason. It works. You don't have to pick it, but it's going to work.
And that's very true.
You're solving the problem.
But you know what?
You solve it faster, and you can move on. You don't have
with
to
your
be stuck.
life.
Yeah, but there's people who actually don't want to learn theory because they're scared it's going to take away.
But like, dude, I don't agree with that at all.
I don't know. I understand that either. It's like I don't want to. I'm just gonna play naturally. I never want to know, because like that reveals the truth. It needs to be.
The truth is, you have to reveal all of it if you're going to be good.
That's like weird to me. It's like you could just learn what it means. And
to me, I'm sorry, that's an excuse. That I don't count that as anything else. An excuse.
But I think this is like we're talking about music, but that relates to like I'm pretty sure with like Phil, you like drawing and painting, like you can like sit there and try to whip out a painting, but if you learn,
but you learn, let's say, for
anatomy, if you learn
all these different things, which exponentially help to your drawing, right?
Like gesture drawings and everything, it helps you put down your ideas, and maybe there's people like in drawing, like, I just want to feel it. I never want to understand.
Yeah, but you have to if you want to be good.
Like, because I always think of like like the Japanese craftsman, making some wooden box, and he's like doing it throughout the years, and he's just like expert, like
sanding it,
and it's just, and it's like he's completely sure of it, Like I think of an opposite of someone like a music artist who dies at age of 27, with drug overabuse, because it's like
drug overabuse.
Exactly. It's like like they did something by accident, and then they become famous, but like they never had the time to understand how they got there. So, and then they can't do it, and it's like so much pressure. You have all this money. What are you going to do? Like, it's like
that is interesting. I wonder about that as well. Like, you think that, let's say, people who have sort of created something that's resonated with people, you wonder, like, man, if they sort of understood more about like the context of how they got to where they got with that, maybe they would be able to write even more, or explore other avenues that they might have not.
Yeah, they might have not otherwise, instead of being stuck in the same kind of
When I was like a dumb young lad, I would always think like, oh man, like if I just made this one song and like people love it, popular, like I'll be, sorted. And then from then it'll be just the way like, and now when I'm older, I'm like, oh God, thank God that didn't happen. Like imagine, like what would I do?
But it is interesting that because I think you also learn, like the more you do, the more you learn about like, well, you learn like, hey, this might work, this might not work. And then you kind of see from there, which is part of the process, I think. Whereas I think thinking of what you were saying is more like, you just want one thing and then you don't know how to move on.
Don't know why.
So guys, I'm so sorry to say this, but I think we're going to have to start wrapping things up here.
Keep that in mind.
It's been some time.
We didn't ask Phil what he thought of the movie at all. We just, me and Jake talked about it.
Well, I didn't see it.
What? you jackass. And there I thought we're going to have a non-violent and non-confrontational episode. And I thought
I ran out of time. Jacob said we're recording today. I'm like, what?
We discussed this.
It's like the concept of 2 weeks. Like that's not known to Phil.
Shut up.
Time is like, it's like we have to, you don't have a clock.
He
calendar.
He can't check the chats. We have to
I made a calendar that every 2 weeks there's even a notification 2 days before that the episode's coming out.
No, Tim, I promise. Every other time I'll do it. This was a weird hiccup. It was a setup. It was a sting operation. It didn't work out. No,
you're on your own, Phil.
No, Jacob, you said it was okay.
What do I have to do with it?
Yeah,
I said it was okay.
Yeah, today I said, what am I going to do? I need to go back home. I need to watch the movie, and Phil, you're like, it's gonna be okay.
Phil, these are your troubles, not mine.
No, don't leave me here.
Just throw him under
Jacob,
the bus.
no.
That's amazing.
No, but I'm serious. I don't know how this has to do with anything with me.
No, Jacob, please, no. I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay, so that's good. I'm glad I found that out.
No.
So we're gonna skip Phil.
I'm sorry,
Jacob. What did you learn by watching these two movies?
Stop. I learned. What stop? We're doing the show.
I'll watch it and then I'll put myself. Just put my voice.
Photoshop yourself in there.
In post, I'll do that. How's that? Is that okay? Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah. No. You must learn. You must learn the hard way.
What I think is that these movies are different but similar. No. I just want to say that I have no summation. Racing is strange and interesting at the same time for reasons we talked about today on this show. I wanted to say that these movies, like I told you, can be seen as like sports films in a way. And I guess sports films are their own category as well. I don't know where I'm going with this. You take over, Tim.
Well, what I learned is that if you want to race your car, just push your car to that red zone of 7,000 RPM, and that's when you're going to feel it. So I'm too afraid to do it to my car because I don't want to ruin it because I have to use it. But if anyone wants to lend me their car so I can push it to that 7,000 RPM and feels what it likes to race, maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I'll be able to go like, let's use up all the dino juice. Give me that dino juice. So I can go up to 7,000 RPM and feel alive.
Feel alive.
I would like to see a combination of these two movies. Maybe have the stars from Le Mans and the story from Rush, and just mush it.
So we could call it Le Rush.
Le Rush. The two movies.
We could do Rushman.
Rushman. You know what's you know what's like the most telling thing is like I don't know nothing about racing or racing movies. I kept comparing everything to Cars because that's the only movie I know that I watched. I was like, oh, this is like that. Yeah. I was like, this is like that scene from Cars, and then I felt like such a chamba, like freaking Pixar movie about talking cars. That's like my best point of reference. Did any of you like is there a racing movie that comes to mind?
Racing.
Like a car racing movie. I can't think of there's like lots of like car chases in movies, obviously.
Yeah. That's interesting. But I just keep thinking of car racing games.
Star Wars Episode 1.
What's your favorite car racing game of all time?
I think Forza.
Forza?
I remember
Gran Turismo 2.
Oh man, that's classic.
Midtown Madness. That's where it's at.
No, it's your game. No, we played Gran Turismo 2 on the PlayStation 1. And And then I played a bit of Forza on the Xbox.
Forza was
the
pretty
original.
good, yeah.
Remember the original Forza? You didn't play that, Tim. I'm pretty sure.
No,
you
I just played the new one. The what was the one I have? The Horizon?
I don't know. Event Horizon.
It's like the free roaming in UK.
Yeah. But that's all I can think of. And then Mario Kart.
The best, yeah. The best representative.
You know.
Just drifting around.
So, I forgot to ask you. So, what would you guys say? First movie recommended or no?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if your point of reference is kind of limited, so
I would say recommended if you are interested in
Christian Bale
changing
body weight for every role.
No, if you're interested in like a biopic film that involves racing and is sporty in that sense, I think you'd probably find it interesting and enjoyable. If that's not your thing, I think probably then no.
Yeah,
and as far as go on. Yeah, what would you say?
Oh no,
movie one.
I would maybe if you want to watch one of these, I would personally go for maybe number 2 more.
Mm-hmm. You'd say Rush.
Yeah.
I'd say Ford. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Phil, which one would you recommend?
Yeah,
you can throw in the wild card and be like, I recommend Rush.
Cars.
The Pixar film.
Watch Cars.
So not even one of the films.
Speed.
What does he say?
Fast and the Furious.
Okay,
That's a racing movie.
We have to wrap this up here.
Yeah, I don't know.
To be on time. So let's just say that this was an interesting episode. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
And
let's pat ourselves on the back.
Thank you all for participating. But we have an announcement to make.
That's right.
Thank you first of all to everyone listening. That is you specifically who have us in your ears or on speakers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for participating in our survey, our twofold survey. And
it's still open.
Show our appreciation.
It's still open. Go to the twofold survey, please.
Twofold survey is linked up, and we're going to keep it up for until the next release of the episode because we have something special in store for you, which we mentioned last time. And it's announced here, the official twofold Baggerino.
Twofold Baggerino.
And what is the Baggerino? Well, who wants to explain?
You'll find out. You'll find out next.
We'll find out about
episode.
the Baggerino.
But if you want to participate in the Baggerino, then you'll have to put a name that we can shout out.
So we can see exactly what you said, what you put on the ratings.
We want to say this, that some people made comments about how ridiculous our setup is for our survey.
Frank.
But exactly. Thank you.
What do we mean ridiculous? Okay. Explain.
And in ridiculous in the way that
Scotland,
that like a survey where you have to put your name, therefore defeating the purpose of a survey, like being anonymous, right?
We are aware of this. We are fully aware of this. And we talked about this for half an hour.
We did. And what I wanted to say is that to find a little bit of compromise, I wanted to say that if you want to fill out the survey and you want to participate in the Baggerino, then you don't have to put your actual name on the survey. You can literally make something up. Like you can say Jim or like PJ Maxx or whatever. Like just put something if you really don't want to be.
If you want to use
Fassel, for instance. And the cool thing is that then we can say on the podcast episode, like, hey, Fassel won.
Fassel won the Baggerino.
Your name, and we won't know who it is who took the survey. We have no clue who you are. And then the cool thing is then when you contact us and say, hey, I won the survey. No, we'll know then.
Then we'll know.
Speaks to purpose as well.
Well, you will know. So, but that's what we said. If you want to, in the survey and to win,
if you want
the Baggerino, then
saying, Tim, but we'll know eventually what their answers were.
That's okay. I like that's, but we explained that's okay. If you don't want your answers to be known, unfortunately, you can't join
the Baggerino. It's a catch-22, but we made it up.
But like it's well, next year we'll do it without the survey. We just we wanted to give a thank you to people who do survey because it really helps. We actually listen.
Help.
Absolutely.
Read the responses and a lot of things made sense.
Absolutely, a lot of things made sense, and we're going to work on implementing some of these changes because we think that a lot of the stuff we agree with what you guys shared. So thank you. So official Baggerino announcement. Are we announcing the winners next?
We should, I think.
2 winners
next, in fortnight.
So 2 randomly selected
Baggerino in a fortnight.
In a fortnight, yeah.
Is that right, guys? Did I get it right?
Baggerino.
Yes.
2 Baggerinos.
Wow. And then we'll do another survey. We can ask you about how we handled the survey. We can voice your opinions.
A survey up on the survey.
Yeah.
How do we handle the survey?
Yeah.
Did you like this?
Do you like fossil fuels?
Fossil.
Fossil fuels.
Thank you everyone for listening.
Yes.
Thank you guys for joining me.
You're welcome.
For letting me host the episode.
You're welcome.
And who's next hosting? Phil?
Oh yeah. Join us next
hosting
time
next one?
when Phil hosts and I don't watch either of the movies.
Sucks.
So yeah. So Phil, are you next?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got
Is that it then?
I think that's it.
Randy on a
Yeah.
The music's really loud.
Christian Bale dies.
Music is
blazing.
So anyway, thank you everyone.
Oh boy.